Season's changing, but also the real estate season that we're in is changing with the NAR lawsuit, with everything that's happening in our industry, changes upon us. So my question is, are you going to thrive with these changes? Or are you going to go into what I call real estate hibernation? Welcome back to another episode of All or Nothing in Real Estate. I'm your host, Matt Smith, the founder of All or Nothing in Real Estate. This podcast is a movement to give back to this amazing industry and all of you agents out there that are weathering the storm. This industry has given so much to me and my family. This is my way to give back to you and your family. After that intro, I'm going to dive right into what I'm going to talk about today. I've got a lot on my mind, and I'm just going to share with you guys kind of rapid fire, and I'm going to share some things that I'm confident will help you in today's marketplace, some proven things that we are doing, and just a mindset shift, some tactical things, and just the reality of, we talked about this podcast, a movement. Well, our industry is moving. Our industry is changing. As of the recording of this podcast, the biggest change in my career is effective in a couple of days from the recording of this, the NAR stuff. So with that, I'm really going to unpack a little bit about that, but also about the seasonality of our business, and just give you guys some real value, tactical, from the heart, from the trenches today, so that you can level up, live a better life, a more successful life, and a more fulfilled life. So let's dive in. There's a topic that I think is on everybody's mind right now. Not only is the air changing here in the Midwest, the leaves are going to start changing colors soon, and fall is upon us. So the season's changing, but also the real estate season that we're in is changing with the NAR lawsuit, with everything that's happening in our industry, changes upon us. So my question is, are you going to thrive with these changes? Or are you going to go into what I call real estate hibernation? I have an interesting theory. A lot of agents go into hibernation come September, October, especially November, December, January, February. It's like a lot of agents take all winter off. And I call it real estate hibernation. It's because, like, we learned in school, right? The bears go into hibernation for the winter. Well, I think agents got their belly full like a bear, and now they're going to go and hibernate, and they're going to take some time off. Not only because that's what agents always do, but also when we're faced with times of change. I'm not talking about the leaves changing. I'm talking about the NAR changes, the industry changes that we're all facing. I think a lot of people don't face it. And a lot of people are going to get scared. And a lot of people are going to be in a reactionary state. And today I just want to unpack that. And I want to give you some confidence and some hope, and hopefully inspire you to not take that hibernation, but instead get into action, get your mindset right, get some tactical things that you can apply to your business so you can take this season of change and dominate your business. So let's talk about the dynamics of this season and what is going on with the market. I'm not going to really go in depth on NAR. I've done 2 previous podcasts on that. I believe last week's episode was me and my leadership team going in depth. Go listen to that if you want some advice specifically around that. There's a lot of good stuff there. I'll glaze over a few things here today, but I think a lot of the changes that are happening are just related to the changes that we're facing. And I'm seeing a lot from a team leader perspective and from a coaching perspective. I mean, as an example, I was on all morning this morning, back-to-back coaching calls with some of the top team leaders, aspiring team leaders in North America. And it was very common discussion that we had. It's around different things of plugging holes in their business so that they can take these changes and dominate. And so not only do we have a typical slowdown come fall, but we have all these changes. And so it could be the perfect storm, so to speak, for us to make the excuse, have the excuse, come up with whatever it is that we convince or tell ourselves of reasons not to take action, of reasons why we can't win. And I want to remind you of one of my favorite quotes, is that anyone can win in a changing and challenging market. Anyone can, but not everyone will. You can win. Let me encourage you. Let me give you some borrowed belief. You can win, You can use these changes. You can use NAR. You can use this seasonality. You can use whatever obstacle you are facing right now, whatever challenge is in front of you. You can use that as a catalyst to growth and change. But you have to make that choice. So today we're going to break some of that down on how you can do that, some processes that I go through and how I inspire other people to hopefully make changes in their lives. When I'm struggling, because I'm not perfect, I go through struggles like everyone. What do I do to get out of those funks so that I can actually take action? I think there's an interesting cycle that we go through. I think some of us are seeking happiness, right? We want it, we want everything to just be perfect. We want the perfect lead, the perfect process, and we want everything to be perfect before we take action. But I think what happens is, and we're trying to be happy before we're productive. And I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. I think mental health is very, very important. And so I'm going to say this with an asterisk to it, but I want you to understand the context of what I'm saying to it, because there are people that struggle with mental health, and this is not demeaning them or saying anything bad about them. There are rare circumstances, but I think most of us that say that we struggle with mental health, or we need things to be better, or if we were happier, then we'd be more productive. I think we're shooting at the wrong target. You know, something I've realized is that productive people are happy people. It's not that happy people are productive. It's that when you're productive, you become happy because you fulfill yourself. You build confidence in yourself. You have self-esteem with yourself. You see, happiness is an internal job. We wait on things external to make us happy. We wait on things to be perfect before we take the action. But the action, the productivity, the confidence we build, the promises or commitments we keep to ourselves is where the happiness comes from. Think about it. There's something in your life that you've desired to achieve, whether it's real estate related, it could be relationship related, it could be health related, it could be fitness related. There's a commitment that you made. And when you kept that commitment, you were proud of yourself. When you were proud of yourself, how did you feel? See, it's not happiness that you're chasing. You have to be productive first. And it's your own definition of productive. It's your own goals. It's your own commitments. But if you chase productivity, you will find happiness. But if you chase happiness, that's a lonely, long journey. You see, I think we as humans, we all have this thing that we're wired differently, where we have to have this fulfillment to be happy. We have to have this purpose to be happy. And that can be something as simple as, I woke up on time today and got my workout in. Has anyone ever had those mornings? Maybe it's just me, but I've had those mornings where I wake up early and that bed's feeling awful warm. That alarm clock, I just want to hit the snooze button, sleep, roll over, keep sleeping, and not get that workout in. But on those mornings that I choose to not listen to my bitch voice and realize that I don't negotiate with my commitments with myself, and I get out of bed and I force myself to do that workout. When you force yourself to do that workout, when you force yourself to make your calls, when you force yourself to do that thing that you're exercising discipline to get that thing done that you committed to, how do you feel after that is completed? You feel unstoppable. You feel on top of the world. You see, it's discipline that we need. It's productivity that we need. And then happiness is a result of that, not the other way around. So let's talk about the opportunities that we have right now. The reality is a lot of markets are going to start slowing down. We might have another little bump after school starts, right? But markets are going to start slowing down soon. The changes are certainly going to influence that. I believe that with interest rates continuing to do what they're doing, right now we're at the largest drop that we've had in over 12 months. I think they will continue to drop. I think activity in the marketplace, as far as buyers and sellers getting off the sideline into the market, are going to increase significantly. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have more business, because there are different obstacles and hurdles and roadblocks in the way, other than the buyer or seller just being interested. There's the NAR stuff going on. There's the where are we going to land with buyers and sellers commissions? And there's just so many moving parts, right? So what I want to encourage you, I was taught by my coach, my good friend, one of my mentors, John Cheplack. He said, the reality is, he said, me as your coach, I don't determine the activity that it requires. You as a team leader, you don't determine the activity that is required of your agents to be successful. He said, you don't get to make that call. I don't get to make that call. It's the market. It's the consumer that makes that call. And so if I think we just step back and we realize that the market determines the activity that is required, it removes the emotions from, well, I need to do this, or I used to do it this way. I used to do it that way. You guys got to forget that. You got to forget what used to be. And let's talk about what is. And let's talk about where we're going, because we need to start exercising the behaviors we need now to where we're going in the future. And what I've seen through my lens as a team leader, what I've seen through my lens as a coach to some of the top teams in North America, is that the activity has got to increase for the same amount of conversion. Sounds really simple, right? What does activity mean? It means more conversations, more text messages, more emails, more remarketing on social, more video content, more. It requires more. We live in a world of distractions. And I think so many people fall into this mindset trap of, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be a pest. In reality, what you're really saying when you say that is, I don't want to do the work. I don't want to do the work that I know is required. And I want real estate business to just fall in my lap. And if they call, maybe I'll answer. If they're ready to buy today, maybe I'll show them properties, instead of being proactive, instead of building a pipeline of business, instead of being on offense and saying, what can I do to be ahead of this change? Let's talk about the NAR changes. And I mentioned this in our last podcast. We've been preparing for this for over a year. Have you? Because it's here. So knowing what you know now, what do you wish you would have started sooner? Start it today. Get going. Build your skills. Understand your buyers, your value propositions. Understand your buyer's presentation. Understand what you have to offer. And then you have to build that relationship. Relationships always win. So when the market slows down, when these changes happen, a lot of people panic and freeze. Go back to my earlier conversation around hibernation, right? A lot of agents go into hibernation. Don't be one of those. Instead, use this as an opportunity to separate yourself. It's separation season. Separate yourself with your activity, separate yourself with your skills, separate yourself with your mindset, separate yourself with becoming the best version of you. That's another one. This is right now in my world. I've been on a health and fitness journey up and down, and right now I'm down, meaning that I haven't made my health and fitness a priority for a few weeks. I feel like shit because of it. But if I'm going to be the leader that my team needs, if I'm going to be the coach that my clients need, if I'm going to be the husband my wife needs, if I'm going to be the dad my kids need in this season of life, I've got to take care of myself first. Too many times we discount the importance of taking care of self. So I want to urge you, in these difficult and challenging times, take care of yourself. What are you feeding your body? What are you feeding your mind? Are you moving? Are you exercising? Are you learning productive things from productive people? Or are you falling for the mainstream media trap of this nonsense that they're feeding down your throat? And I think if you really just audit that, it'll help you make sure that you're winning in this marketplace. And if you need that community, you need that voice of reason, you need that kick in the ass that we all need sometimes, I hope this show can serve as that for you. That's my commitment, is I'm doing this right alongside you. I'm not perfect. I'm learning every day, but I'm going through the weeds with you guys. And I shared that on some coaching calls that I had this morning. So one of the things that's really unique about me being a coach is that I'm not teaching something that I read. I'm not teaching something that I learned at some conference from some coach guru. Like these are real lessons that I'm going through what you're going through. Literally what we just talked about, I just did last week. Had the exact same meeting. And so like I'm sharing those lessons here in this podcast as well. And so I hope that relates to you, and I hope it's valuable, because I think If you don't have your mindset right, nothing else is going to follow properly. If it all comes down to mindset, when the market is shifting, when change is upon us, when the market slows, when our value proposition changes, when the activity has to increase, when the conversations are different, whatever difference or change that is, do you have a growth mindset around it, or do you have a fixed mindset? Meaning that, are you going to fall into the trap of, well, with these changes, I just don't know what to do. Are you going to be a victim? Are you going to play the poor me card? Are you going to follow people that are actually working through this messy middle that we're all in right now and finding solutions? I want to encourage you to be solutions focused. I want to encourage you to take the action. I want to encourage you to get back into productivity, to go to earlier conversation, so that you can find that happiness. You can find that fulfillment. Here's something that I believe. You, yes, you that is listening to this right now, were put on this earth to do something amazing. You were put here to do something amazing, something phenomenal. You have a purpose. Find it within yourself, within your heart, and go out and work every single day to fulfill it. Then the work doesn't feel like work. You see, the work isn't for you after all. It's for those that you're serving on your mission, whether that's your family, whether that's your agents if you're a leader, whether that's your buyers and sellers if you're an agent. There's somebody that we are helping. It reminds me of, I have a sign that a client made for me. It says, because they listen to my podcast. Funny enough, it's crazy how that works. They're not even in real estate. But they caught a quote that I had said. And I said, everyone is a leader to someone in their life. And if you realize that everyone's a leader to someone, who is watching you? Who is counting on you to be the leader? Because I believe that most lessons are caught, not taught. Learn that from Ed Milet. So what lessons are you teaching through your actions, not through your words? Are you actually walking the talk? Or are you just talking it? I want to encourage you to get the mindset of, I want you to realize, number one, you can win. Number two, it comes down to the productivity and the activity that you get your mind around, you build the plan, and you execute the plan. It's really simple. I had, and I'm sure he'll probably listen to this episode, but I had a friend of mine reach out that I met at a couple of events. I'm not going to mention his name, but he reached out and he was kind of going through a struggle. And I helped him talk through some things. And I'm not by no means taking credit. He did the work. I didn't let him know any secrets. We went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on different things. I heard him on a recent mastermind that I was a part of, and he shared how he's got more momentum in his business now than he can ever remember. That was 2 weeks ago. We had a conversation. You know what I helped him realize? And again, I'm not taking the credit. He did it, but he realized he had gotten away from the actions. He had gotten away from the work. He had gotten away from his mission of what motivated him to make these calls, what motivated him to have these conversations, what motivated him to want to be in real estate to begin with. And so when I helped him remind himself of those things, he knew what he needed to do. I didn't need to tell him what he needed to do. I needed to help him discover his mission again, his focus, and help him realize that there was a gap. And the good news is there's growth in the gap. And so I want to ask you, what is the gap right now in your business? Is it mindset? Right now, it's tough to be positive, all these changes. What about motivation? What about inspiration? What about discipline? What about a clear path and business plan? What is it that you're struggling with? Really identify it, unpack it. And once you identify the problem's easy to solve. A clearly identified problem is 80% solved. Most of the time, we just go to the surface of the problem. Dig deeper. What is the problem specifically? What is that gap? And then who can I find to have in my corner to help me fill it, to fix it? Somebody that's been there and done that. Not a theory, not a book. Somebody that's actually taking the action right now doing it. So go find that mindset. Go find that mindset of, I'm going to win in today's marketplace because I know I've got what it takes. I know you have what it takes. If you're listening to this right now, that tells me a lot. It tells me you're growth minded. That tells me that you want to be better. And so I want to encourage you. I want to give you the belief that I have in you. I want you to have it in yourself. If you are listening to this, you have what it takes to win. You just got to break that down and win day after day. You don't have to, you can't win the year if you don't win the day. You can't win the week if you don't win enough days. So let's break it down into bite-sized pieces. And what is that action that you need to take? Keep in mind, it's probably more than it was 2, 3, 4 years ago. What is that action you need to take to make sure that you win? I want to remind you of something: consistency over intensity. I'm a pretty intense guy. I like to go to extremes, but that doesn't mean that consistency doesn't outweigh the intensity. So find something that you can do, find a non-negotiable that you can go out and win today in today's marketplace and do it over and over and over again. And it's crazy what happens. Motivation is hard to get, but it's easy to lose. It's hard to get, but it's easy to lose. You know what else is easy to lose? So I said motivation, but also let's talk about momentum. Some of you experience momentum in real estate, and I want to help you get that momentum again, because momentum is really hard to get. But if you just take one day off, sometimes maybe two, that momentum can disappear in a heartbeat. So let's get our mind right. Number one, right? Now I talked a lot about action. I'm going to dive into action. What action do you need to take? It's pretty simple, right? Like, real estate is a people business. You got to get face to face with buyers and sellers. So I could give a master class on lead generation, on lead conversion, on all of that. And maybe we'll do that in another podcast or a webinar or something, because I want to help people with that too. But you got to start somewhere. And if you're not having conversations, if you're not getting face to face, if you're not getting on the phone, if you're not doing video, if you're not doing something to put yourself out there and having conversations with people about buying or selling real estate, you're not going to win. So let's start there. Well, who can I have a conversation with? How about your sphere of influence? You think that they don't hear about what's going on with NAR? Let me give you let's break this. Let me give you an insight in my sales meeting. I started this with interest rates are the lowest that they've been in 12 months, right? That's true across the nation, not just my market. So I did some math and I figured out what that meant on our average sales price and the payment per month. Figured out what that meant on our average sales price over a year. Figured out what that meant for our average sales price over the life of the loan. And I did a video on it. Then I created a graphic around it. Then I emailed it. Then I sent it to my agents so they could have conversations with their buyers and sellers. And here's the conversation that I had with my team when I was breaking this stuff down for them. I said, how many of the buyers and sellers in our database right now need to know that interest rates are the lowest that they've been in over 12 months? And their answer was simple: all of them. Awesome. Well, how many of them do? And it was like a aha moment. Well, not all of them, not near enough of them. Cool. Let's figure out a way for them to know that and how that affects them in their situation. There's so many, like, we just shoot past the target, guys. We overcomplicate this. We need to be able to be the education and the information that they need, be the real estate professional. Just give them the information. Yeah, it's a super simple tip that everyone can win, right? That's past clients, that's neighbors, that's people at your kid's soccer game. It doesn't matter, right? You don't have to, everybody does it differently and it works differently for everybody. And so there's not a one size fits all model in real estate. But you get a lead, a person, and have a conversation to educate them on real estate. Every single person, guess what? They have a roof over their head, so real estate affects them. Be the resource. Let's start there. There's so much I could unpack there, but guys, you get it, right? Let's find the opportunities and the gaps for us to have conversations with people. Another thing too that I'm really coaching people through that I think is relevant for this conversation is, what are you doing right now to identify the gaps in your database? We all have holes in our boat. What can we do to fill those holes? Meaning we have leads that aren't being followed up with properly. We have leads that our average contact attempt isn't as high as it should be. We have leads where our speed to response wasn't where it should be. We have leads that we've met with, but we didn't get them to sign the buyer's agency. Is that relevant in today's market? You betcha. We got leads homeowners that we met with that we haven't followed up with after we met with them because they weren't ready to sell yet. We all have all of these opportunities, and we just are looking for the next shiny object versus actually, let's slow down. Let's actually look at the holes in our boat. Let's go back the last 6 months and find every single person that you met with. How many of them have actually bought a home yet? How many of them do you have a signed agreement with yet? I'd be willing to bet there's some free business right there for you. Go respark that conversation. What about homeowners that you met that they were thinking about selling 6 months ago? Do they know that the home values have increased in your area? Do they know interest rates have decreased? So that means that more buyers are now in the marketplace. You get my point? You got to take action. You got to be the problem solver. I learned a long time ago. I simplified sales. Sales is simple. Sales equals solving problems. Too many times we don't understand the root of the problem. We try to go to solve too soon. Great salespeople ask great questions. Understand where they are. Meet your buyer, meet your seller where they are. Figure out really, truly what is their pain, what is their pleasure. Most of the time it's pain. So what is their problem? And then solve their problem. You solve their problem, you make a sale. Really simple. I mentioned average contact attempts. I want to share something too. I want to give you guys real and what's working. One of our consistent top producers that carries 8 to 12, 14 pendings at all times. At all times. We were going through and we were sharing some what worked. We did something. I learned this from my good friend at the Perna team. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you, Michael Perna, for always collaborating and contributing. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys listen to this. That'd be cool. But one of the things that we stole from them was they use the hot seat for their sales meetings, and so we had our agents share what's working. And so one of the agents was this one that is always consistent, 8 to 14 pendings consistently. So what's working? And he shared some things that are working for him, but we also went, and it's actually Lauren, my sales manager, that went and unpacked that she also noticed that his average contact attempt per lead was really, really high. Meaning that the leads are in his database, in his world, his average contact attempt per lead was triple what the team average is. Meaning on average, he communicates with his database 3 times as much as the average agent on our team. Is it any coincidence that he has 3 times or more the results of the average agent on our team? 1 + 1 = 2. It's the activities that you take consistently produce the result. Too many times we try to overcomplicate it. We try to find a shortcut. Guys, work works. You can't skip the work. Now, are there tactics and strategies? Sure. But if you don't take the activity, there is no game film to watch and improve. You can't find the gaps without the work. The work starts first. And once you do the work, then you can improve consistently to make efficiencies, to make enhancements, to get better skill, etc. So hopefully that helps you guys with the plan. Number one, everybody should do that interest rate video today if you haven't already. Do that math, and everybody needs to know it. Create a graphic. Everybody needs to know it. Text it to your entire database. Email it. Great conversation starter. So many people are coming back in the marketplace because of that. And if you're the one to help them know how that can benefit, you will win as well. So I'm going to close it up here with, guys, don't go into hibernation. There's plenty of opportunity out there. My question to you, who's going to take it? See, right now, it doesn't have to be a time of real estate hibernation. This can be the season. Will you lay the groundwork for your best year ever? I want to encourage you to take action and take action now. Remember that happiness you're chasing is on the other side of discipline, hard work, and productivity. Productive people are happy people. Guys, I hope this was beneficial. I want to encourage you to keep pushing, keep growing, and let's make this your best year ever. I really think that so many people are going to use this as separation season. I want to encourage you to do the same. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate your support. I do this to help you. Please reach out. I'm here to help. I'm here to be a support system for you. By no means do I have it all figured out, but I'm in the trenches and I'm in this messy middle with you guys. We will come out of this better for it. Let's work together. We're better together. Share this with a friend. If there's anything I can do to help you guys, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll see you next week.